Do you want to get started in government contracting, but you don't know what kind of business to start? In this video, I'm going to share a 3-question quiz to help you figure out what kind of business is right for you. And then I'm going to give you my recommendation for the easiest business you can start working at home with little money. Sound like what you're looking for? Then stick around. You don't want to miss this. This is FedAccess, and I help startups and small businesses grow with government money. Now, deciding what kind of business to start is really important. If you've been wondering what kind of business you should start, I've put together the 3 key questions for you to consider. And be sure to stick with me to the end, because then I'm going to share with you my recommendation of one of the easiest businesses you can start with little money. So let's get to it. First, start by thinking about your experience and your skill set. What are you good at? What do you like to do? What do you have experience in? What are your skills? Start a business in a field where you yourself have experience. For example, construction is a great business, but if you've never worked in construction, I wouldn't recommend that path. There's a lot of liability in construction. Personally, I've never worked construction, so I wouldn't start that kind of a business. Again, it's a great business, but I personally wouldn't recommend it unless you know that field. Now, professional services encompasses a huge range of things, so you can probably find some field within professional services that you already have experience in. Maybe you have a degree in economics and can do management consulting, or maybe you have secretarial experience or IT experience. Janitorial services is another great business idea. Maybe you already know how to clean and you can get the contract to provide janitorial services for your local Social Security office. Or maybe you like to paint, so you start a painting company and get the contract to paint the local IRS office. So start by thinking about what you have experience in. Second, think about what is your goal for the business. Do you want to build a 10-person janitorial company that provides a stable annual income for yourself and your family? Maybe you're a mom and you're thinking about running your own business so that you can have flexibility with your kids. Or do you want to build a huge company and then sell it, where you get your payoff when you sell the company? There's no right or wrong answer here. I've seen some business advisors that act like fast-growing businesses are better than what they call lifestyle businesses. Don't listen to them. One type of business isn't better or worse than another. Figure out what makes sense for you. We all have different goals. So think about your goals and make sure the type of business you are starting is right for you. Third, think about how much capital you have access to. Some businesses can be started with little money. Other businesses require an upfront investment, for example, to purchase equipment, insurance, software, to rent office space, to purchase office furniture, supplies. For example, starting a construction company requires access to capital. Starting a professional services business requires very little upfront capital. You don't need to purchase expensive insurance, and you can run the business from your home. Once you've come up with an idea for your business, the next step is to invest some time and research your idea before you jump in. You want to do market research before you decide where to focus, to see who purchases what you want to sell, how do they make their purchases, what contract vehicles do they use, and who are potential teaming partners. You can get this knowledge from online research and from attending Meet the Buyer events. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know that there are 2 ways to make money in the federal government contracting industry. You can either directly support the government, or you can get a subcontract under a business that has a contract with the government. Now, everything I say in this video applies equally to either way, but if you're just getting started, the second way, being a subcontractor to a government prime contractor, is by far the easier way to get started. For contracts direct with the government, you can use beta.sam.gov and fpds.gov to research government contracts in your field. And there's a huge amount of data available for you to mine for free. You can learn who buys what you sell, and you can learn what they pay for it. I've put links in the notes below to my other videos, which explain how to research contracts with the government and also how to meet government prime contractors and learn about subcontracting opportunities. Now, what if you're still not sure where to focus? What do I recommend? Well, if you're looking for a business you can start with little money working from home, then I suggest you focus in these areas: administrative and support services and professional and technical services. I'm going to call it professional services for short. The government, as well as government prime contractors, need support in a wide range of fields. Everything from secretaries to engineers to auditors to security guards. So they issue contracts to obtain these services. Under one contract, you may provide 10 employees, 20 employees, 30 employees. Now imagine that you win a few of these contracts. You could have 50 employees, and you're billing the client month in and month out for their work. Let's see how this works. Let's say you get a contract to provide 10 engineers for 3 years. If each engineer works 1,800 hours per year, then you bill the client for 18,000 hours each year for 3 years. Think about how having that steady, ongoing billing could change your life. These contracts are typically set aside for small businesses, so the big companies you may be familiar with in these fields are not eligible to bid on these contracts. Now, one of the reasons I like these contracts is because they have low startup costs. For one thing, your employees work in the client's office space. If your contract is with the government, your employees work in the government space. If you're a subcontractor, your employees work in space provided by the prime contractor. But either way, you don't have to rent space for these employees. In fact, this is a business you can run from your home. You don't need to rent an office location. And here's another thing to be aware of with these contracts, and this may be a surprise to you if you're new to this. In many cases, you take over the employees from the previous contractor. Let me explain this because it's really important to understand. Let's say there's a current contract providing 10 employees working at the government site. The contract expires September 30th, it's put out for bid, and your company is awarded the contract. Most likely, you will hire those same employees to do the work. Or maybe only 8 or 9 of the employees join your company. My point is, you don't have to immediately go out and recruit 10 new people. Chances are most of the employees working for the previous contractor will join your company. So you may only have to recruit for 1 or 2 positions. And these days, there are lots of online sources you can use to find people. Then you can interview your candidates online using a program like Skype or Zoom or Google Hangouts. So this is a great business for those of you just getting started. To find these contracts, you need to know that they go by different names. The contracts may be referred to as administrative services or management services or audit services or engineering services or security services. You get the point. If you've watched my other videos, you know that in the government contracting world, everything revolves around NAICS codes. And I've listed here some of the NAICS codes that are often used for these types of contracts. So to find these contracts, start by searching in the codes I've listed here. If you have experience in one of these areas, that's great. Start in the area where you have experience. But you don't have to personally have experience in the particular technical area in order to manage one of these contracts. You do have to have the ability to find qualified people, hire them, manage them, communicate, and be responsive to the client's needs. From that perspective, the business model is basically the same, whether it's a contract for engineering or auditors or secretaries or daycare or fitness center workers. Whatever business you choose, getting your foot in the door with that first contract is key. I recommend taking whatever contract you can get, no matter how small, to get your foot in the door. And from there, you prove that you can perform. You demonstrate that you can fulfill the government's requirements. You demonstrate great communications with the client. And importantly, you demonstrate that you're responsive to the client's needs. Once you have that first contract, you have the opportunity to meet regularly with the client, build relationships with the client, and with other companies doing work for that same client. And building relationships is ultimately the key to long-term success in this industry. So what kind of business are you thinking of starting? What are your skills and experiences? If you've been thinking about starting a business but haven't pulled the trigger, what's holding you back? I'd love to hear from you on what is your biggest hurdle to startup. What's stopping you? Is it time? Is it money? Is it knowledge? What's holding you back? Let me know in the comments. Hey friends, what do you think of this information? Is this helpful? Let me know in the comments below. And if it is helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we drop new videos. And if you know other entrepreneurs who could benefit from this, please go ahead and share the video. That really helps us to grow the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.